Here we have our formatting with styles exercise. This is where we take a plain Word document with no styles or formatting, and we use styles throughout to spice it up, give it a bit of a look, and see how styles behave as well. So we'll begin with a plain document. This is in Word 2003. That's how we're going to do this exercise. And we'll just go through the steps one by one, and we'll see how things go. Now it begins with, we open it up, we take a look at this plain document. Everything is pretty boring. Nothing too exciting. Of course, we want to use styles, so we'll open that up. And we always find that under Format, and then Styles and Formatting. And by default, it'll just give us a selection of 3 heading styles and normal, which is all paragraphs are the normal style to begin with. If you just click on them, you'll see normal is highlighted over here, and that's the default style. Now it asks us, we go through each style in turn and we change them, and the first style that we change is normal. And it asks us to add a left indent by 1/2 of an inch, change the style font to another font with a serif, and change the paragraph formatting, so 12 points of space follow each paragraph. Okay, so we'll do that. So to change a style, I'll either right-click on it and choose Modify, or I'll click the little arrow here and choose Modify next to the style. And it asks me to change the indent and the space that follows each paragraph. Anything to do with the space shape of a paragraph or space around it we'll find under Format and then Paragraph. There's our indent from the left for 1/2 an inch, and after 12 points. If you're using a font that's about 12 points in size, 12 points after means 12 points of blank space after each paragraph. So I'll say OK. While I'm at it, I'll change the font. I can go to Format Font, or I can just do it here, Format, and I like Century Schoolbook. Just as an example, it's an old-fashioned looking serif font. It's got those little curlicues, little squiggles at the edges of the letters, and that makes it easy to read generally. So I'll choose that, and then as soon as I do that, any paragraph that has the normal style, which is all of them at the beginning, will automatically get everything that I've asked for. There we go. It's indented. It uses the new font, and each paragraph, if I swipe a piece of it, you'll notice has that extra space. That extra black part underneath the selection shows me where that extra space is. Unfortunately, if I turn on paragraph marks, I see that I've got a whole bunch of blank lines, because whoever typed this in, type black bear, enter, enter. The species, Ursus americanus, enter, enter. I only want one. That's why I put that extra space after each paragraph. So I can go through and delete them one at a time. That takes a while. So I'll use Microsoft's Find and Replace to search for 2 enters in a row, 2 paragraph marks, and replace them with just one. Now I can't remember how to do a paragraph mark. I can't just hit enter here. Nothing will happen. It beeps at me. So what I'm going to do is click More. That gives me more options. And then I'll click under Find What, and under Special, I'll see, oh, these are all the special characters that I can search for. And what I want is a paragraph mark. And I see, Word special code for paragraph mark is circumflex P. And that's the circumflex is just over the 6, so it shifts 6P. So I want to look for 2 of those in a row and replace with just 1. So find 2, replace with 1. We saw something similar to that when we did spaces way back when. And I'll say replace all. And 54. Well, that saves me a lot of time. Close. If I make a mistake, I hit undo. They all come back, and I can try again. Maybe I searched for the wrong thing. So there we go. I've finished my normal style. Everything's looking good. I don't want to look at paragraph marks anymore, so I'll click the little backwards P, the Velcro. And now it says apply heading 1 to each of the 9 paragraphs that begin with all capital letters. Here's one there. To apply a heading to style, we just click the name. I just select the paragraph. I just click inside it is easiest, and click heading 1. Do that for all the capitals. Heading 1. If you're doing a lot of these, you could define a shortcut key, perhaps set it to be Shift Control 1. But I don't have that many to do, so I'll just go through and click on them like so. Whoops, missed one there. And heading 1, and heading 1. And we only have to do this once, this applying of styles. And I think that's all of them. I can check, like I click that little drop down there, it says select all 9 instances. So there must be 9 paragraphs with heading 1. In fact, that's what the paper says, 9 of them. And it says we want to change the style so that it has 0 left indent. It's based on normal, so it has a 1/2 inch indent. We want to undo that 1/2 inch indent and also change to a different font. So I'm going to modify heading 1, and I will format paragraph, change its indent. There's the 1/2 inch indent that it inherited from normal because it's based on the normal style. So I'll say OK. Here it is, heading 1, based on normal. And I also want to change the font. And I picked that one, Advanced Berlin Sans FB Demi, a big, bold, modern-looking font. And I'll say OK. Boom. You'll see all of my heading 1s are now left indented, have no space before them at the left, and have that new font. So there's the advantage of styles. You'll even notice the heading 1 style over here is sort of giving me an example of what heading 1 looks like, the font and the indent. Heading 2, it says, find all the heading 2s, which are just sort of simple little paragraphs on their own. 1 or 2 words, winter, I'll apply that. Heading 2, by default, it's going to look like this, but I'll change that soon enough. Summer, heading 2, fall, heading 2, and then there's a few things about bears, claws and face, etc. They're also heading 2. There should be 8 of these all told. Heading 2, click, 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 and chest batch. Heading 2, I can check, did I get all 8? Oops. Select all 8 instances, I sure did. Okay, so let's change heading 2 to match heading 1. To be based on heading 1, that's what it asks for. So it's heading 2, it's based on normal. I'm going to change that so that it's based on heading 1. So it'll essentially be everything that heading 1 is, plus a little bit extra. It'll be a little bit smaller, and it'll look a little different. A little bit smaller, but and it'll have, pretty much that's all. It'll be a little bit smaller and not bold. So I'm going to change it to the same font, and I'm going to take off the italics. And you'll notice it's heading 1 plus the font is a little bit smaller, 14 point. It's not bold, and it's level 2. This has something to do with headings. We'll get to in another class. And I'll say OK. And boom, now you see my heading 2s next to my heading 1s. And the advantage of based on, because heading 2 is based on heading 1, if I change heading 1, heading 2 will automatically change to match if it's not something that heading 2 already overrides. If I'm curious what heading 2 overrides, I can just hover above it, and I can see, oh, heading 2, it overrides the font size, whether or not it's bold, and its level, which we haven't seen yet. So if I change anything but those, heading 2 will automatically inherit that, because heading 2 is based on heading 1. So I'll change heading 1, modify, and just to make it simple, I'll change its color to indigo, purple color. Okay, boom, I changed heading 1, but now you'll see heading 2 also has the same color because it inherited that. It's based on heading 1, and that's a very handy technique for consistency. Another thing it asks us to do is right at the end, there's these paragraphs which really are lists, are bullet lists. These should be bulleted. Now I could do it manually by clicking, where's the little bullet icon? It's way up here. But that's manual. That's not to do with styles. I would like it to be based on styles, because I might want to change the style and have all of my paragraphs that have that style changed to match. Now I don't see list bullet here. It actually mentions to use the built-in list bullet style. I don't see it here, so I click on all styles, and I'll see all of them in alphabetical order. List bullet is right there. Once I've used it, I can go back to just show formatting in use. I'm using list bullet, so it'll automatically show that. That makes this screen over here on the sidebar a little easier to look at. Click list bullet there, because these also are list items. If I want to select more than one paragraph, I just swipe it with the mouse. It's best to select the entirety of all of the paragraphs you want. If you just need one paragraph, click in it and click list bullet. If you want to select more than one, it's best to select all of it and click list bullet. If you miss some of it, sometimes Word does funny things that it shouldn't, in my opinion. Now, list bullet's not done. It asks us to indent it. Notice it so that it lines up with the normal style. It is based on normal, but right now it's not indented because list bullet defines its own indent, so it's already overridden that. So I'll modify list bullet. Format paragraph is where I'll find indents, and I'll change its left indent to match normal, which is 1/2 inch, and I'll check don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. That means inside a list, don't add any extra space, the 12 points, don't insert that inside the list, but as soon as you get to the end of the list, go ahead and put the extra 12 points. We'll see that in action. So I'll click OK, and OK. And there we go. Inside the list, I don't get the extra 12 points, but I do get the 12 points after the end of the last element of the list, and that's very common, so that's built into Word. It used not to be, you had to do it by hand, but now it's easy. So, looking good. One more style to go for the very first paragraph of the entire document. Black Bear, it says there, that should be the title style. I don't see it over here, but I know it's built in, so I go to All Styles, and it's way down at the bottom. Click Title, that applies it. I'll go back to just Formatting and Use so I can see my styles that I'm using, and I'll change this so that it matches my headings. I could make it based on, but I won't for this exercise. I could make it based on heading 1 perhaps, but I'll modify it, and I will set it to use the same font, but maybe a little bit bigger, 22. I'll change it to be violet, and I'll change the paragraph to not have an indent. It's based on normal, so it has an indent, but it's centered, and that indent sort of throws off the centering. So I want to get rid of that. Okay, Black Bear, looking good. And now I just want to add an image, and that was, we'll just copy and paste. That's sort of an introduction to the next topic. And so I'll go over to this site, which was mentioned in the handout, and I'll grab the Black Bear picture here. I'll just right-click, copy image. This is Google Chrome, but if you're using a different browser, you'd right-click on it and choose copy of some sort. Go back to my document. I want to paste it around here somewhere. I'll say Edit, Paste, or Control-V. By default, it pastes it in something called inline, meaning it's like a big letter. So I'm going to change it according to the instructions. I'll right-click on it, choose Format Picture. And from the Layout tab, I'll choose one of these others. Square or tight is probably good. It's a square image, so I might as well go with square. I'll say OK, and that will float it. You'll notice, you may have noticed, that my view just changed from the normal view, this view, which does not show floating images, so I don't see it there, to the Print Layout view, which does show floating images. Now my image is a little big, so I'm going to grab one of these handles, shrink it down, and you can just drag them around to your heart's content. The text wraps around it when it floats. Looks nice. And I'm done. Nice looking document. I can save it, and the solution is posted online.